Let's talk about some people in history with the best names that fit their accomplishments perfectly. Number 1, Genghis Khan. We will start in 1162 when Genghis Khan was born. Genghis Khan was the founder and first great Khan of the Mughal Empire, which became the largest continuous empire in history. Genghis is a controversial figure because he was an angel to his followers, but ruthless toward his enemies. It is still unknown and widely argued today whether Genghis Khan was a hero or a villain. Through brilliant military strategy, disciplined, and ruthless tactics, he expanded his empire across Asia, the Middle East, and into Eastern Europe. He died in 1227 under mysterious circumstances, but his descendants continued to expand his empire for generations. Regardless of his reputation or your opinion on him, Genghis Khan is a sweet name and makes him sound like a giant rather than a human. His name is extremely fitting for the legacy that he left. Number 2, Joan of Arc. Born in 1412 in Domremy, France, Joan of Arc was a French peasant girl who became a national heroine and martyr. Although her name isn't actually Joan of Arc, for the sake of the video, we will call her that because the name is just too cool not to include. The name Joan is plain and common, but adding of Arc to the end of her name makes it iconic and super badass. Joan claimed to have received visions from saints, including her to support Charles VII and help drive the English out of France during the Hundred Years' War. At just 17, she convinced Charles VII to allow her to lead an army, and her presence helped turn the tide in favor of the French. She played a key role in the lifting of the Siege of Orleans in 1429, a pivotal victory. Captured by the English in 1430, she was tried for heresy and witchcraft, then burned at the stake in 1431 at the age of 19. She was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church in 1920, and her name will forever be one of the most symbolic of all time. Number 3, Wolfgang Mozart. Wolfgang Mozart was born in 1756 and is considered one of the most famous composers in history. Mozart showed his talent from a young age, exposing his extraordinary musical talent, where he composed his first musical pieces as a child. The name Wolfgang Mozart just rolls out the tongue so well, and considering he will probably be the most famous Mozart in history, he is able to be called strictly by his very appropriate last name. His work spans symphonies, operas, chamber music, and concerts, with masterpieces like The Magic Flute, Don Giovanni, and Ein kleine Nachtmusik. Despite achieving great success during his lifetime, Mozart faced financial difficulties and died at the young age of 35. It is unfortunate to know that Mozart lived such a short life, being that he could have made many more musical perfections in his life. Number 4, Zebulon Pike. Zebulon Pike was an American explorer and army officer best known for leading expeditions to explore the western portion of the United States in the early 19th century. Born in 1779 in New Jersey, Pike joined the U.S. He was appointed as a second lieutenant in 1799. In 1806, he led the expedition to explore the southwestern portion of the Louisiana Territory, which brought him to the area that would later be known as Pikes Peak in Colorado. The name Zebulon Pike just sounds like the name of a really complex, difficult hiking trail that you wouldn't dare to try. Because he was an explorer, his name is so appropriate for all of his accomplishments, and one that we think is super satisfied to say. Pike's expedition was overtaken by the Spanish, and he was briefly imprisoned before being released. He returned to the army and served in various military campaigns, but he died in 1813 during the War of 1812, at the age of 34, while leading an attack in the Battle of York, which is modern-day Toronto. Pike is remembered for his contributions to the exploration of the American West. Number 5, Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic, best known for his dark Gothic tales and poems. Poe's works often explored themes of death, madness, and the macabre, with famous pieces like The Telltale Heart, The Fall of the House of Usher, and The Raven. There isn't too much explaining needed for this one. It is obvious why we picked this. His name sounds exactly as he pictured him, and his name fits the description of a writer who writes Gothic poems. Allan was actually his middle name, which we think is necessary to include and overall makes his name better. The name Edgar Poe is nothing without the Allan in the middle, and he's one of the few people that always includes their middle name in their name. His life was marked by personal tragedy, including the death of his young wife Virginia and his own struggles with alcoholism. Poe died under suspicious circumstances, to this day which is unsolved. We can cover his story in another video, if you'd like. Subscribe down below. Number 6, Florence Nightingale. Born in 1820, she was a British nurse and the founder of modern nursing. Born into a wealthy family, she felt a call into nursing despite the social expectations for women of her status. During the Crimean War, she gained fame for her work in improving hygiene and sanitary conditions in military hospitals, significantly reducing the death rate among soldiers. There's nothing necessarily fitting about Florence's name, but Florence is a sweet first name and makes you think of Florence, Italy. Nightingale is also an awesome last name, and the combination of them both is just fantastic. Nightingale's efforts led to widespread reforms in healthcare, including the establishment of nursing schools and improved hospital standards. She was also a pioneering statistician, using data to advocate for better healthcare practices. Nightingale's legacy as a nurse, social reformer, and statistician has had a lasting impact on healthcare worldwide. Her legacy will live on forever, being such the good human that she was, and, at least in our opinion, she will be known for having an excellent name. Number 7. Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge is the first and the only United States president in this video. Calvin was born in 1872 and became the 30th president of the United States, serving from 1923 to 1929 under the Republican Party. Coolidge worked his way up through state politics, serving as governor of Massachusetts before becoming vice president under Warren G. Harding. After Harding's death in 1923, Coolidge assumed the presidency and became known for his calm demeanor and belief in limited government. The alliteration in his name, the double C's, is really cool, and his last name literally has the name Cool in it. It doesn't get much cooler than this. Literally. Coolidge also earned the nickname Silent Cow, which is probably one of the best nicknames of all time. He passed away in 1933, leaving a legacy as a leader who championed economic prosperity during the Roaring Twenties. Whether your political beliefs believe that he was a good president or not, I think we can all agree that we wouldn't mind having a name Calvin Coolidge. Number 8. Sir Manly Lawrence Power. Sir Manly Lawrence Power, a British-born Canadian soldier and public servant, was born in 1904 and lived until he was 77, dying in 1981. He served in the Canadian military during World War I, where he earned recognition for his leadership and bravery, ultimately rising to the rank of Brigadier General. While his first name is not actually Sir, it is appropriate to refer to him as that because of his position in the military. The names Manly, like the term manly and power, being in the same name is about as good as it gets for a man's name, especially one that is manly. I think the name Lawrence complements the manly and power as well, as the name Manly Power almost sounds fake, but Manly Lawrence Power gives it that smooth transition. I dare you to try saying that twice. After the war, Power held various significant positions in the Canadian government and military, contributing to the development of Canada's defense strategy and policies. He was also involved in post-war veterans affairs. In recognition of the service, he resided in 1935. Power's legacy is tied to his leadership during wartime and his contributions to Canada's military. Manly Lawrence Power is yet another stable name, and a name that few people would complain about having. Number 9. Judge Learned Hand. Judge Learned Hand is just about the most perfect name you could give to a judge. He was born in 1872 in Albany, New York, and is widely regarded as one of the most important judges in U.S. legal history. Hand had a distinguished career as a lawyer and federal judge. Appointed to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York in 1909, he later served on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit from 1924 until his retirement in 1951. Hand is best known for his intellectual rigor, his commitment to civil liberties, and his significant contributions to constitutional law. His proper and appropriately given name suggests a sense of intellectual depth and wisdom, with the name Learned implying that he has a strong IQ. We think that it makes it fitting for a well-known, successful judge. Though he never served on the U.S. Supreme Court, his influence on American law was profound, and he remains an iconic figure in legal histories. His name is short and is a name that once you hear it, you'll be sure you won't forget it. Number 10. Powers Booth. Powers Booth was an American actor known for his commanding presence on both television and film. Born in Texas, he made his screen debut in the 1970s and gained fame for his role as the villain in the 1980 TV miniseries Beyond a Tragedy, the story of Jim Jones, which earned him an Emmy Award. This is another name that features the word power, which is hard to complain about. I also like the spelling of the word Booth here, as it ends with an E and almost makes it seem more professional. His name gives him a sense of strength, which suggests authority and, you guessed it, power. Throughout his career, Booth played a variety of tough, often morally complex characters, with notable roles in films such as Tombstone and Sin City, as well as TV series like 24 and Deadwood. The fact that Booth primarily played villains adds to the fittingness of his name, seeming like the name just belongs to the toughest guy on the screen. Booth was praised for his deep voice and intense performance, and although he passed away in 2017, he left behind a legacy as a versatile and respected actor in Hollywood. Number 11. Jesus Christ. You saved the best for last, as Jesus Christ is the greatest name of all time. There is no more explanation needed for this one. Subscribe.